cyber attacks, the Stuxnet virus in 2010, the Flame worm in 2011, the more recent, the Dooku in 2011, the more recent Flame malware in 2012. All of this, by the way, we have a cybersecurity, a national security policy now that says that cyber attacks are acts of war. If North Korea tries to do it to us, it's an act of war. The White House has now said we've been doing this in Iran, and the newspapers have said that as well, so I guess we're at war with Iran. We've also, of course, put in place economic sanctions, arms embargo. We still have suspended diplomatic relations, plus someone has been killing Iranian nuclear scientists over the last year or so. And there's a lot of speculation, obviously, in the press about U.S. and Israeli intentions toward Iran. So, at war with Pakistan, at war with Iran, at least in some people's conceptions. We've also seen drone strikes in Yemen and Somalia and elsewhere, and of course, most notably, the Anwar al-Awlaki strike in April in Yemen that on purpose killed the U.S. citizen, actually several U.S. citizens, without reference to Bill of Rights protections that they would enjoy. So these are clearly situations where we're sort of between our traditional conception of war and the new world threats that we just heard about, and trying to match up our capabilities and our constitutional understandings and legal understandings with these threats. And with that, I want to come to my last case by way of conclusion, and that is in the Arab Spring, specifically right now, what to do about Syria. This is a really interesting case because for all the older folks here, they'll remember that Syria used to be the epicenter of U.S.-sponsored, CIA-sponsored coups. I mean, that's where if you were a young CIA agent who were just learning how to overthrow a government, you went to Syria in the 1950s. We overthrew the Syrian government. I'm playing a little bit, of course. This is completely speculative, except for the historians that have showed where we did this. But, we did this at least 8 times between 1949 and Bashar al-Assad's father, Hafiz al-Assad, coming to power in 1970 in Syria. Now, of course, we hesitate to act. Despite all of what I just said, drones and all these techniques that we have, despite our official commitment President Obama has in the National Security Strategy that we accept and embrace the responsibility to protect, or R2P. And in fact, he said that's why we were in Libya. Well, it wasn't exactly why we did Operation Odyssey Dawn, but it was a piece of why we were in Libya. And so it applied to Libya, but we haven't yet found our way to do that in Syria. So as the American ship of state turns now, rather ponderously, I think, toward the Asian Pacific Rim, the so-called pivot to the Pacific, how do we address our threats in this part of the world, especially given an austere fiscal environment and the reality that the pivot towards the Pacific must take the lion's share of national security resources given the air-sea battle doctrine that will prevail there and the concomitant need for large naval and air force expenditures. Technological advances and our own behavior over the last decade have made possible other ways of addressing our national security threats